Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. We're still trying to connect with Channels Television aviation correspondent Bukola Joe Ketumi to get updates on what's actually happening at the Kaduna International Airport. The airport, for the first time, has started operations since the temporary closure of the Abuja International Airport, and the first international airline to berth there was the Ethiopian Airlines. And of course, we'll be trying to get updates on if there plans for more international airlines, of course, to use this particular airport. But let's turn our attention now to the commodities markets, and Ada Akonobi, a research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company, joins me now. Good morning to you, Ada. Thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning, Harriet.
It's been quite an interesting week, and on Tuesday when you were here, we talked about the oil sector. But take us through what some of the burning issues are right now. Of course, FX is part of it.
Well, everyone wants to know what's going on in the foreign exchange market. Sometime 2 weeks ago, the Naira was 520, and when the CBN started its intervention in the market, it appreciated to 440, and now it's back up to 465. So everyone, it's okay. The CBN has been, disbursing, has been injecting dollar into the system. Why we're not seeing an appreciation in the currency as to what it was before? But I think it's more or less like everyone. There needs to be, the market is still very tentative. They need to know, they need to see consistency, and we need to build back confidence into the system to, kind of discourage people hoarding and hedging forward.
But, taking a look at this economic recovery growth plan, that's one of the things that actually in the next 3 years the federal government hopes will be achieved: stability in the foreign exchange rate and, how the markets price it. And that was also highlighted in the among your burning economic issues.
Yes.
for today.
Well, so far so good. I think they are doing a very good job. I mean, it's better compared to what it was earlier in the year. So far, they've released about $1.3 billion, which is a drop in the ocean, but then it's gone a very long way. And 60% has been allocated to the forwards market, while the other to the spot market. So, and again, the good news is, it's not the 180 days now, it's about 45, 60 days. So the closer it is to the spot market, the better it is. And now when we link this back to the price of commodities, typically it takes about 90 days for, inventory turnover. So we will definitely see the prices reflect. We won't see an immediate reflection in prices for now, but in the next 120 days or, more, traders may begin to reprice the goods based on the exchange rate at which they sourced for.
Okay, so I had a conversation with a colleague of mine just yesterday, and she was wondering how this economic growth recovery plan really affects Nigerians, the everyday Nigerian, the end users, let's put it that way. And in my own little way, I try to explain to her that the policies that the federal government comes up with actually directly affects businesses. And whichever way it comes, whether good or bad, it's actually translated to the end users. So looking at companies now that need FX to get most of their products, talking about the FMCG companies, for instance, will we see maybe an easing in the amounts that which we purchase most of the products, taking a look, for instance, at flour and sugar?
Well, so far so good. There has been intermittent supply of dollars into the system. But then what most manufacturers, traders are looking out for is consistency and a clear direction. Is it just going to be random release of dollars into the system? That we need to have information so we can plan, ahead of time. We just don't want to, work towards what we hear in the market. So if there's some sort of consistency, we'd expect to see the exchange rate stabilize more, and I know that the exchange rate is trying to look for, find its equilibrium. So it's 460 equilibrium, we are not sure. But if there's more supply into the market, and again, traders or manufacturers who import wheat and flour, pending on the exchange rate that they've used, or clearing of LCs and all of that, then they'll begin to reprice that into the prices of flour. However, they're still, depending on how much or depending on the product you import, it may take a period of 1 year. But so far so good. I think it is a drop in the ocean, but it's much better than it was last year.
But don't also forget that we still have some of these companies that are prohibited from accessing forex from the official window, that the 41 items that are so banned. And then now with the Central Bank of Nigeria clearing about 3,114 Bureau de change operators to buy dollars from international money transfer operators. How much of an effect is this going to have on the market?
Well, so far so good. Like the exchange rate now is 465, so it's good. It's much better than it stayed at 470, 484, 90, 500 for a while. So it is a good development, and clearing out of the BDCs, it just reduces all the uncertainty. So there's going to be like a very clear direction, and there's going to be just maybe relevant sources of dollar supply.
But this also means that they will have more dollars on their hands to play with. And then the central bank says it's going to increase allocation to them from 8,000 to 15,000. So they've got a whole lot of liquidity coming in. You've got from the international money transfer operators, and you've got from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Do you think this will actually bring down what we see currently at the market? You say 465. Most are hoping that it will even come down to as much as 400 and maybe 350.
Well, it depends. Nigeria, this is an imperfect market, and I mean, even though the CBN is trying to meet the supply constraint that we have right now, if there's no confidence in the market, there's still going to be a lot of uncertainty and volatility in exchange rates. Generally, anyway, all around the world, the exchange rate is volatile. But then looking at the basket of other currencies, if you compare the Naira and the Pound, the Naira against the Pound, it has appreciated. It was 650, but now it's about 560. So it's fair to look at how the Naira has performed with other basket of currencies anyway. And we shouldn't forget the fact that once the US Fed increased interest rates, the dollar will strengthen, and how this will affect the Naira. There's definitely going to be some sort of relationship to Naira. We may see more depreciation in the value of the currency. But so far, the exchange rate, the foreign exchange market is extremely volatile. But I think I applaud the CBN for what they're doing so far. If they continue in this way, and if they're very consistent, if they restore confidence into the market, we expect to see the foreign exchange, we expect to see the Naira, the parallel rate stabilize further.
And of course, that will definitely affect how the price of commodities will be for most of those that depend on FX anyways.
That will affect the price of commodities, but we don't expect to see any immediate impact on commodity prices now. Like I said earlier, it takes about a minimum of 90 days for inventory, So if you source for the dollar for now, you get to see the traders repricing this in about 120 or more days.
Ada Konobi, research analyst with Financial Derivatives. Thank you so much for coming on the program this morning and sharing your perspectives with us. So let's take a look at other commodities that we track here on the program. And we're talking about oil and gas stocks listed on Nigerian Stock Exchange. There are about 7 of them that we track here on the program. And taking a look at, of course, the list, there was really no significant movement across most of the equities that we track of the 7. So only Forte Oil and Seplat really recorded any movement. Forte Oil dropped almost 5% from its share price to birth at 52 Naira 16 kobo with a volume of 351,156 units exchanged by investors. No movement on Mobil or MRS and Owando. That's on the next page, you see. There you have it. Seplat was off also 5% to finish at 380 Naira with a significantly high volume than we've seen in the last few trading sessions. 1.35 million units of that particular equity was traded by investors at the end on Wednesday, I beg your pardon. And Total came in at 284 Naira. No change as well, with a volume of 13,878. So at the end of the day, the index came in negative 2.52%. Year to date, also negative 7.2%, with dividend yield at 2.2%.